Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You'll get divorced. You'll get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the show where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with one of our amazing Fresh Starts experts today, Meghan. Meghan, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, absolutely. Thanks for having me here. My name is Meghan. I am aware of many hats. I'm a lawyer and a mediator who works now as a divorce coach, helping women through the muddling journey of divorce.
Amazing. So one of the things that we are really excited about when it comes to Fresh Starts and the journey that we're building here is that divorce is changing, right? That the whole industry is changing, the way we divorce is changing, and we're here to support people through that with our experts like you and all the resources. So I would love to hear from your perspective, how is divorce kind of different, right, than it used to be? And what does that look like in terms of moving forward with the world of divorce?
Yeah, great question. I love this. This is my number one thing I want to convey to people when I work with them is we can say goodbye to what I'm calling the old way of divorce. I'll say we don't have to just file and cross our fingers anymore. There's a better way to do it. Really, the thing I want people to take away and what I tell all my clients is filing papers doesn't have to happen first. In fact, it's better if it doesn't happen first. Divorce is this huge life transition. It's not just a legal transaction. And so I like to back up a little bit and say, let's pause. Let's get grounded for a moment. What matters to you? What's important? How do you want to drive your experience instead of reacting to it, which is the old way of doing things? It's hard because it requires juggling a lot of things, but that's where I'll say as a divorce coach, I can come in and then all the other wonderful experts you have can come in and help you decide, here are the top 3 things that matter to me. How can I best accomplish those goals? And when does it make sense to loop in a lawyer, if at all? No shade to lawyers. I love them. I am one. And they're not the be all end all. There's so many more people you can work with. And so I'm always trying to say, let's get clear on what you want and how to get there, and then line it up strategically so that it goes the way you want it to go.
Absolutely. And there's I think so many misconceptions, right, about what divorce looks like. I know a lot of people, when I talk to them, they think divorce is only in the courtroom fighting with each other, right? Yeah. And there's so many ways. And so I think even when you talk about lawyers, there's lawyers for all different types of divorce, right? And there's lawyers for different times of divorce. And, as you're talking, I'm thinking and this conversation is fascinating because even the way that divorce, the speed at which divorce goes, right, has changed so much because now we're talking about you're emailing your lawyer. You're not going to the lawyer's office. When my grandmother got divorced, she would go to drop off her signed paperwork at the office. Yes. Now we have e-sign and all these things, right? So it's but there's a whole bunch of people and, things that are not keeping up necessarily with the way that divorce is changing. And that's causing, I can see some friction, in the way that people are handling divorce. Do you see that at all?
Totally. The court system is so overwhelmed and taxed. So I always like to educate people at the beginning. I don't want to vilify litigation and I don't want to make mediation or any kind of out of court arrangement sound like it's all rainbows and butterflies. It's not. There's still conflict. It's still hard conversations. But anytime you file, you send it to the court, you're kind of ceding all your control and sending it to this system, like you said, that's overworked, undersupported, You have no idea what the timeline's going to be. You don't know what the cost is going to be. Yeah, it's just not keeping up. And so I'm a huge fan of mediation, which is
Me
basically
too.
just settling it outside of court, because you get to set that pace. And exactly what you're saying, you get to decide how you're going to do it. You're not caught in an outdated system. And if it works for you and you can do it, like, yeah, it's almost like let's circumvent the pitfalls of the system and craft a new way to do it that works for you.
Absolutely. And like there's so many ways to do it, right? So like I'll give myself as an example. We started Zoom mediation, which didn't work great for us, but we
Mhm.
kind of got a stipulation that was, a stipulation. And then we each hired our own lawyers and the lawyers hashed it out, but we didn't go to court, right? They
Yeah.
just talked, they went back and forth. We sent the stipulation back. Now, was it stressful and traumatic and I lived with a stomach ache for a year? Yes,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But we didn't go to court, right? My kids didn't have to be, go talk to it was like, it wasn't wonderful, but it was the best situation that we could have had. And that was considered mediation, even though we had
Mhm.
lawyers going back and forth, right? I still paid $20,000 for the divorce,
Yeah, yeah.
but, that was to the lawyers, but it worked for my situation. And I always go back to when we started mediation and the mediator said to me, "What do you want?" And I was like, "I want a divorce, duh, like, hello?" Right? And then she was like, "No, but, like, what do you want?" Like, it's a negotiation, right? Which
Yeah,
nobody talks about, right? Nobody tells you that stuff.
right.
So, how can we keep up with these changing times? Like, what should we know, Megan, about what's happening right now in the world of divorce?
I mean, great question. I think find your team. Really, like, go to Fresh Starts and start to look at all the people there and see who's going to help you. I think you brought up something that comes up all the time, particularly for women, and I feel like we could have a whole nother conversation about this, about women being able to say, like, firmly what they want, right? Like, "What is it that I
Yes,
want?"
a whole
is
other
so
conversation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it could start, like, early. Like, I think of it with my daughter, like, how am I gonna make sure that she can start saying what she wants so that 30 years from now. Um, yeah, but it's a tough conversation. I think, the best thing people can do is, like, educate themselves, which is a lot. I know that's just, like, one more thing on your list when you're going through all this. That's a beauty of finding fresh starts or finding communities. I've heard a lot of people love
Mhm.
Reddit for
Mhm.
finding groups or Facebook.
Yeah.
Start to just get some information about what are other options, and then back to what your mediator said, like, what do you want? Everyone has different goals. When children are involved, oftentimes one of the primary goals is to get the kids through it as unscathed as possible or as peaceful as possible. So if you can anchor that, like, what's the scaffolding you need to do that? So I think it's a
Mm.
reframe of how you think about it. And I get acknowledge and validate too. That's really hard when you're divorcing, you're in a stress state, right? It's considered the second most stressful event that you go
Yeah.
through in a lifetime.
Yep.
So when you're in a stress state, it's easy to, like, quickly jump at the first thing, like the lawyer who says, "I will solve all your problems." So being able to get your support system to, like, take a beat, find some neutral information, see what resonates, find the right people for you, knowing you might talk to 10 divorce coaches and one's going to feel like a fit and the other 9 aren't, and that's fine.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think that's kind of the best. And I'm seeing this, like, trend of change. I'm seeing more lawyers, especially younger ones, thinking about it differently, looping in divorce coaches earlier,
Yes.
looping in mediators early,
Yeah.
CDFAs who specialize in, like, the financial piece
Mhm.
of saying, like, oh, this isn't in my wheelhouse, or you guys are really in, like, a good communication spot. Maybe we can do something else and not go right to the court system. It's a good tool when you
Yeah.
need it, but you don't need a sledgehammer all the time, is kind of the way.
Yeah, and I would love to hear your opinion too. I'm seeing that also and seeing the rise of divorce coaches. But when
Yeah.
people come talk to me, the first stop, even if you're just considering divorce, is a divorce coach, right? And like you said,
Yeah.
and this is why we love our community, there's divorce coaches for every type of divorce and for every
Yes.
style of divorce and every modality of divorce. And so finding that one or two people, and sometimes I have people work with multiple divorce coaches, right?
Mhm.
Because you need them for different things. That is gonna be game changer. I wish that I had had a divorce coach. So, from your perspective as both, on the legal side and as a divorce coach, how are divorce coaches changing this game of divorce, in the future?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing they're doing is helping people lead their divorce process instead of reacting to it. I think that's
Mm,
the biggest thing. And I think that's great for so many reasons. People feel more in control, powerful, peaceful, but you also get to craft it the way you want. So I think that's the thing. When people would just jump to a lawyer, you're just kind of throwing yourself into this system. But when you work with a divorce coach, you're able to do what we were talking about earlier, right? Like the ground, the pause, the what is it that I want? How do I want to build a roadmap? That's like the phrase I use the most when I'm working with
yep.
people is that divorce coaches will help you make a roadmap and strategize how you want to do things. Build the resilience because it's not all going to go the way you want. And like you said, it's still stressful. You're still like having the stomach aches and having trouble sleeping and
Mm-hmm,
worrying
mm-hmm.
about your kids, so they can give you those resilience tools and the distress tolerance tools in addition to giving you that strategy and roadmap. And I'm finding that lawyers are thrilled to work with divorce coaches too, and that's done well because then
Yeah.
they're not spending their time kind of outside their wheelhouse trying to process emotions and values. They are able to say, okay, I'm clear on what you want. Here's what the law is going to do. Here's how we'll achieve your goals.
100%. I think I was never more angry than when my divorce lawyer said, and I loved her, but she was like, "Why don't you call me back when you're a little calmer?" I was like, "I am calm," like, and so
Yeah.
you just get it's so emotional. It's so emotional. So, Megan, what do you do as a divorce coach? How do you work with people?
Yeah, great question. So I do one-on-one coaching and group coaching. I'll talk about the one-on-one coaching as kind of the mainstay. I work with people in a variety of ways. I offer a 2-hour support and strategy session. So sometimes people come in, usually at the beginning, and they just say, "Now what?" Right? It's like you're hit in
Mm-hmm.
the face with this overwhelm, and oftentimes that leads to this paralysis, and you're not sure
Yeah.
what to do, and you're thinking, I have a home and I have kids and I have a job and I have retirement, but I want to do this. And it's just so many things. And so we take a really concentrated set of time and we parse it all out and get you a very clear roadmap,
Mm,
strategic, tactical, and then the emotional scaffolding to get you through it so that you have a clear next step. So that's usually the starting point for people. And then from there, sometimes they say, I feel great. I'm going to launch and do something else. And other people say, you know what? I actually want this support in a more ongoing capacity, especially if they're going to pursue an out of court type of arrangement. And
yeah.
I'll work with them 3 months, 6 months, or the entire length of that process. And I'm there throughout all of it to support them through with all of the things. I'm able to leverage my legal background to be a legal translator. I'll say, like, I speak lawyer and human. So being able to help
Mm-hmm.
people convert that, being able to understand what the implications are, to think ahead to next steps, to work on communication plans, especially with children. As you know, if you have
Mm-hmm.
kids, you're connected to that ex in some way
Mm-hmm.
forever,
Forever.
for a
Yep.
long
Mm-hmm.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you want to reestablish that relationship? How do you want to redefine it? It doesn't
Right.
need to be destroyed, right? Like,
Right.
how do you want to define it? So that's the work that I do, and then the other piece is the group coaching, and that's really a space for people to share space and talk about the things that matter to them the most, to share their frustrations, their fears, their hopes, their concerns in a space with other women who just get it. What I keep hearing over and over again is like, I've told a few friends, but no one in my real life knows what's going on. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, it's so isolating. So being in a space where you're with other women who get it is powerful. And I find that people will often do both because it tends to different needs that we have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Amazing. I love that so much. So before we let you go, Megan, if
Yeah.
somebody's listening to this and they're going through a divorce or they're considering a divorce and they just listen to all of this and they're hopeful, right, listening to you, what would what would be some words of encouragement or wise words that you could leave them with today?
Yes. Great. I would say first, you've got this. You are powerful and strong, confident more than you know. And the whole system's stacked to make you feel not that way, but you are strong. You're not alone. You have people who are there to support you and help you. And I think the strategic piece is coming full circle to what you said at the beginning when your lawyer said, well, what do you want? Or your mediator said, what do you want? I would take a moment, 5 minutes, 10 minutes longer, and just sit with yourself and think about what you want out of this process. What are the things that are important to you? What are your values? And what are your goals? And if you do nothing else, that will at least help you as you think about every issue, frame it as, will this decision bring me closer or further away from those values and goals? And it will help you feel more confident knowing that, and absolutely help you work with any professionals or anybody really when you can articulate that for yourself.
Such good advice. Such good advice. Amazing. Well, you can always find Meghan over at Fresh Starts and the Expert Guide. Meghan, we appreciate you and all of the support that you bring to all of the people you work with. And we're so happy that you're part of our world. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Olivia. Me too.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.